YTPC, Ford Smoking Pipes here. Today's episode is brought to you by Missouri Immersion, where quality meets value. Also brought to you by McMarron's 7 C's, where the salty dog in you finds some rum. Well, we got you down in the town square. Told you about the mine. Told you about the hat shop, the arcade, where the shooting gallery, that is. There was like a glass shop down there where they blew glass. And they had cart vendors down there doing different things, depending on who they got in there. Told you about the guy that made bull whips. Boy, he could crack those. I always wanted to learn. Every time I messed with him, I wound up popping myself in the butt, so I never did buy one. But I did buy one of his ropes that he made, about 100 foot of that thing. That was a grand rope. I carried that for years. See, at the time, as young as I was, I valued myself a rock climber. Well, about as much as you could down here, I guess. And there's a big old rock up on top of Sulphur Mountain. Just sits there right on top. I mean, it's like it eroded all the way around it. It's almost like a column, but it's a big rock. So I got it in my mind that I was going to climb up the side of that rock, and I was going to sit on top of it, and I needed a good rope. So I bought this rope from him, about 100 foot or so, and tied a rock on the end of that rope when I got up on top of Sulphur Mountain. And I flung that rope all the way across this big boulder sitting by itself. And now mind you, there was crevices and things that I probably could have scaled through, but I didn't. I was going to go right over the side of that thing. And anyway, that rope went over, and I went around the other side a good 80, 90 feet around. Well, you know, I'm going to have to take that back. It probably wasn't that far around because the rope made it over. Anyway, I tied that off. And I proceeded to try to go up the side of that thing. Young Ford found himself about 3/4 of the way up this 30 or 40 foot rock embankment. And then he found himself upside down, hanging by the rope. Well, even as a young man, I wasn't exactly stupid. I took 2 friends with me. And one of them proceeded to crawl up the crevices I should have used and worked from the top. The other one was from the bottom, standing on another rock. They proceeded to turn old Ford back over and help me get back down. Hell, I went at it a second time. And I got up that thing this time with the help of the guy on top and the guy on the bottom. That dog patch rope like to hung me, at least by my foot anyway. It was a terrible sight. Anyway, back to the patch. Yeah, down there on the square, I mean, they had concerts and they had events. And it, you know, one time that summer they had the General Lee sitting down there and all the actors around with it, you know, the car and all that. It was nice, was neat to look at. Of course, I think Uncle Jesse was the one that showed up, but, you know, it was fun. They always had neat stuff down there at different times of the year. 4th of July's were when they had their concerts or close to them. Sometimes they only had 1 a year, sometimes they had 2 a year. And I don't know what determined that. That was above my pay grade and attention span back then. Anyway, we talked about the train ride and everything. There was a restaurant down there that hung over the river, built on a bridge. And I'm not too sure there wasn't two of them, but this one was the one where you got your fish dinners and fish and chips and things like that. Each restaurant there had a theme. I mean, one was a burger joint, another one was taco, Mexican type food, and of course then the trout farm done fish, and then the fish and chip place done fish too, in case you didn't want to mess with all the filleting and all the other stuff that went over to the other part. And it seems to me we had funnel cakes. Yeah, we had the funnel cake factory. Oh boy, talking about a sugar rush, man. You'd eat one of them things and you'd have hot flashes for hours. They didn't let up on the sugar at all. It's made with sugar, covered with sugar. Then you could get some syrup put on it that was pure sugar. You walked out of there not feeling good. You probably felt bad because you had too much sugar. Definitely raise your temperature. But anyway, you could walk on down. It kind of there wasn't too much past that. I mean, when I say that, there was a path leading to more, but it was kind of a nice scenic walk around the edge of the paddle boat pond then. And of course the railroad tracks went by you, and you had more gumball feeders to throw at the fish. Get your handful of feed and pepper the water, or throw it in a couple pieces at a time. The kids all loved that. Of course, those trash cans with hog heads on them and a vacuum were all over the place. Some of them, one of them was an old codger with a big long beard, and you stuck the trash in his mouth. Anyway, you get down to the bridge down there, and you had two choices. You go across the solid bridge at the dam and go up to the other rides and the other attractions, or you go down just a little further and you got to cross the waterways on the swinging bridge. Now this swinging bridge, it was like 6 feet wide anyway. It was a good wide bridge made out of real heavy rope. And I'm pretty sure underneath the planks was steel cables. But it made it look like an old time bridge, so the handrails and everything was all rope. I've seen people cross that on their hands and knees, squealing and a hooping and a hollering, and you sit there and you look at them and you just wonder, well, if you're that scared of it, why are you doing it? A lot of them were dared to do it by their friends, and then they get out in the middle and their friends start swinging that thing. Wasn't like you didn't have a good foothold, but she'd get to moving. You had plenty of plank to stand on, like a good old swing. When I grew up, a swing was a rope and a 2x4 or a piece of 1x6 or something with notches so the rope would go up the side. You balanced yourself on it and you took off. You fell off, you got up and done it again. Some guys had tires, but I didn't like the tires. They always got hot and they weren't much fun to me. Anyway, you got across that swinging bridge or across the solid bridge. Then you get up there, and then that's where you see the front side of the skunk factory. You walked in the front of it. You had more glass cabinets where fake skunks were, mechanical fake skunks were in there. And when you walk past them, their tail would fly up, and you'd hear a psst, like they were spraying you. Some of them were in chicken cages, a wooden frame with chicken wire around it. They were all mechanical, weren't real or nothing, but it was, made to spook you like you just got sprayed. I don't know how many people it actually fooled, if any, but it was neat. There wasn't really anything in there to buy, I don't think, at this one. It was just kind of like a little exhibit type thing. And I don't remember if we had a person stationed in there or not. I don't think so. I think you just kind of walked through this one. I didn't spend a bunch of time up in that area. I would go up there, visit, or when I was young, I'd go up there and play around because there's rides and stuff up there. But also up on this hill was a ride, and I know you've probably seen it at a fairground or something, but it's where you get on the swings and they're hanging from arms. And this thing starts to spinning and you start swinging out, you know, gravity takes hold and you almost go straight out. I don't know, at some time it may have moved fast enough to go straight out, or maybe always did, and I don't remember, but it was interesting. They also had the scrambler. Now the scrambler, that was my favorite one. You sit in what looked like a metal bench with a bar that come down over you, and you know the arms would spin, the whole thing would spin in a circle, and then the merry-go-round section that you were on would also spin in a different inner circle. That sucker gets you to going and sling you out. You swore you was going to fly out of there. But of course, the bar held you in, the straps held you in. Yeah, I kind of liked that one. They updated that one at least once over all the years I went there, but not while I worked there. It seems to me that there was another ride or two up there, but, you know, honestly, I don't remember. I'm thinking we had a regular roller coaster up in that area. Not for sure. But one ride in that area that I didn't mention, I think was down by the swinging bridge, was called the log ride. This log ride was below the paddle boat pond, still on another pond area, more elongated like the river. They just slowed it down. And basically it was a bunch of log canoes chained together, pulled by one canoe with a motor on it, a little outboard motor. You'd fire that thing up, you take off up the river or down the stream, whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't call it a real river, but you know, they did. You smell that two-cycle. But you were cruising on the water, looking at the trees and stuff, and they even went as far as to have big rubber snakes hanging out of the trees. They had a big rubber boa hanging out there, and if there's a boa constrictor in the state of Arkansas, it's been hauled in because they're not naturally here. But that sucker was big. It must have been 4 inches, 5 inches in diameter on the body of it, and a big old head, you know, it was outrageous. But anyway, that gets you the layout pretty much of what it was like. There was used to be a path that led back from that side back to the barrel ride, but they closed it off and made it a service road, so you didn't really get to walk around that way anymore. There's still, whenever we helped with trash or something, we used it, but other than that, I think it was closed off to the public by that time. Seems to me that there was also another restaurant up there, and they had the jamboree up there. Now, a buddy of mine from school was a guitar player from the time he was in 6th grade up. His dad had been teaching him. When he could pick up a guitar, his dad had him working with it. Of course, his dad played real well, and the little young man just wanted to be like Dad, so he jumped on it, and he got good, real good. Old Waylon was top notch with that guitar. He went on later in life to play up in Branson. I really enjoyed it when listening to him. But Other things they had going on, they had outdoor skits with all the characters. They'd jump up in the middle of a crowd and start one of their skits about some business, town business or something, or they had little impromptu things. All these people were in arts and crafts, and they applied for the audition for these roles, and they really got into it. Some of them were really good. It was a neat place to be. Anyway, YTPC, there's your layout. We'll get back to 1989 again. Y'all be safe. Old Ford signing out.